Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Spilling the Tea on GovCon. I'm Teresa Moon, Director of Marketing for Parabolis. We are the preeminent partnership for government contractors, providing holistic support that includes a line of credit to fund your growth. The purpose of this podcast is to assist small businesses with success in the federal marketplace by introducing them to industry experts and resources that they may not otherwise know about. Today, my guest is my friend, the one and only godfather of LinkedIn marketing and host of Amtower Off Center, Mr. Mark Amtower. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Teresa, thanks for having me back. I want you to know that in honor of spilling the tea, I brewed myself a couple of Bigelow perfectly mint for the broadcast.
I love it. Thank you. I'm always excited to have you on and love your insight on multiple array of topics. But
especially Bigelow teas.
There you go. If that's your tea of choice, I'm more of an Earl Grey kind of girl, but I'll give you the Bigelows. I like that as well, especially the mint one.
There you go.
We've been fortunate to have you on this show several times now, and there are some that may be new to the show or new to government contracting who might not know who you are yet. And so I want you to take some time to introduce yourself a little bit further, talk about your background in government contracting, because you got a lot of it, and then talk about the work that you do in the marketing community with people like me that are looking to up their level with their brand. Talk about some of the programs that you provide.
Okay, thank you for that opportunity. I started my company in January of 1985 when I decided that working for other people was somewhat limiting in the respect that they wanted me to live up to their expectations, which were low, and I had other aspirations. So I've been advising. I didn't start off as an advisor in the market. I started off as a direct marketing guru, building targeted mailing lists of key feds. But I studied how mail got through the mailroom and became a subject matter expert on direct marketing to the government. That led to the consulting. When direct marketing died in the mid 80s or mid 90s due to this web thing and email, I had to morph. So I did. I started advising on many aspects of the government market. I was already advising on events and PR because I had been on the boards of advisors for a couple of major events in the market. 2000, I started dabbling in the Web 2.0 tools. 2004, I was one of the early adopters of LinkedIn, and that has become my favorite sandbox. So I advise individuals and companies on building out subject matter expert platforms, developing an audience around those platforms, leveraging content, LinkedIn, speaking, PR, all manner of things. But I work with individuals and companies, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, that's the most important part. And it shows in the presentations that I've seen you give, and working with you closely myself, I can give testimony to the fact that it works, because I used Mark's program to help me level up. And I've gotten a great response to my personal branding efforts because of it. So if any of you are looking for someone to help you in that place in your business, he's a great resource, and we can connect you here, connect with him on his favorite spot on LinkedIn. So we can't say enough about that. So thank you for all the help that you've given us at Parabolis.
It's been a pleasure working with you. It still is. It will continue to be.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So recently you published 2 articles that I've been reading through LinkedIn, and the topic that you tackled was influencers, specifically in our industry. So across the board within GovCon. That term has taken on a life of its own, and unfortunately it's on shaky ground all too often. I think a lot of that has to do with just social media in general. I've got an 11-year-old who likes to consider herself an influencer. So after I did share with them some of the things that I pulled from the article, so that she knew that wasn't exactly the case, and so she needed to be careful. But I wanted to discuss with you some of the details from the article, use it as the foundation for this, and highlight some of the points, so that when people who are engaging on LinkedIn are looking for quality information, that they kind of can see the the trees in the forest, see through the smoke screens and all the things that might inhibit them from really differentiating from who's got the quality information and who's just full of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's a lot. I mean, LinkedIn is the number one platform for posting any kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
So, B2B, even B2C, which kind of boggles my mind, but I don't pay attention. But in our market, there are literally thousands of people posting on a very regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality runs the gamut from totally sucks to this is really good.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes
so,
it's hard for people to know the difference. So,
well,
I think that's a good place to start. What is the difference? I mean, we've got subject matter experts and influencers, and I know there's a difference there, but step further too. How do you know?
yeah, well, I mean, number one, the market test. Are people following these people? Are people commenting? Who are the people following and commenting? Are they other experts in the market, or are they people who are third degrees who really aren't in the market? So to take a step back, anybody who is a third degree to me is probably not really in this market. Okay. I have 12,000 connections. I have 15,000 followers. So people have made themselves known to me. I obviously have made myself known to them. So if third degrees are commenting on somebody's article or post, and wow, this is great, and it's some generic, you got to come into the government market because the government's spending billions on what you sell. There's a lot of that crap, but there's a lot of really, really good stuff. But what got me, I mean, I've been writing about subject matter expert and thought leader for about 15 years now. It goes back to, well, maybe 20 years because it goes back to my first book. But what really got me into it is, somewhere around 15 months to 2 years ago, this guy reached out to me and I didn't know him. And he offered me money if I would put my name on articles that he would pen on behalf of a client who I also didn't know. And the money they offered was not insignificant. It was about $3,000 a piece. And it was a 3-piece series. And, I like money, but I like my reputation more. And nobody writes stuff and puts my name on it, number one. And I just said, not sure I'm the person you want. I wasn't even sure at that point that I was an influencer because I hadn't looked at it that way. So I passed on that. And then I thought about it for a while and I realized that people in the market have been calling me for decades and saying, hey, what do you think of this publication? Should I spend money there because they have this event? And if I do both, I can get a discount. Or, what about this photo op event? Is it worth sending my CEO to? So I've been answering those questions on the side, not for profit, for 35 years. I've been on the boards of, I don't know, 7 or 8 conferences in our market over the years, maybe more. And it's taken time, but apparently a lot of people still trust my advice. And that's the big factor when you're looking at somebody posting stuff out there that you don't know who the person is, number one. You've got to look at their profile and see what else they've published, and make a determination if there's any value there. A lot of the stuff may have value, but it may not be original. They may be borrowing it from other sources and using AI to make it their own. And I don't have a particular problem with that as long as they source the original provider of the information. So if I borrow an idea, I like to cite where the hell I got it.
Right.
So the validation of the source is key, and it's not always easy to do.
Yeah,
how's that
and I
for
mean,
a long-winded answer?
no, I mean, but I think that it needs to be long-winded because there is a difference, and I think sometimes people naturally are inclined to kind of jam them both together. And it really isn't the case. And you talked a bit about that in the article about how influencers are not necessarily thought leaders and thought leaders aren't necessarily always influencers. And I think a lot of it has to do with following, the visibility in it, the transparency and the trust that's involved in the process itself. And you speak to a little bit from personal experience. It takes time. There are a lot of people who will ask me, boy, you go to a lot of conferences every year. Why do you do that? And a lot of them are the same conferences every year. It's exactly the reason that you said. The visibility within it is one thing, but it is building those relationships within it. And that doesn't happen overnight. If you're only seeing someone one time a year or twice a year, it's difficult to establish these positions of your knowledge within those organizations or those groups without having more time spent. And so it's important year after year to be present and have the capability of building upon whatever it is that you put out there the year before. So it's not something people can become overnight.
You established more credibility with a particular group by attending the HubZone Council's annual conference several times, and you were rewarded by being put on the advisory committee of the HubZone Council. And that's the kind of validation that says, Teresa can advise companies in this arena, not on all aspects of being a small contractor, but certainly your niche on, before you bid, you got to have funding to win. You've got to demonstrate the financial capability up front, or you may be in the running until nobody sees the bucks behind it. So, you are.
And that didn't happen overnight.
No, it did not happen overnight. None of this happens overnight.
Right. And I think that that's important because there are certain elements that are essential for becoming an influencer. So let's dig into a little bit of that, because taking a picture of yourself and posting it on LinkedIn does not make you an influencer.
No, calling yourself a thought leader in your headline on LinkedIn is not a qualifier. And here you can call yourself, I believe, a subject matter expert or a GovCon influencer. I have GovCon influencer on my headline because I am one. Am I a thought leader? I don't know. I don't make that call. The market makes that call. Okay. But subject matter expert, there's a level of visibility and invisibility for subject matter experts. You can be an internal expert in a company, the go-to guy for all things, and the only people that know about you are in your company or in your customer base. And that's all you need it to be for right now. You may not want other exposure. You may not need other exposure. And in some cases, that extra exposure may spawn competition. Okay. So, but if you're a subject matter and you share information, then you are laying the foundation for becoming an influencer in the market. Once your credentials are established through writing, speaking, networking, getting on the boards of X number of things, that exposure should give you credibility with a niche. But here's the other thing. I watch the WNBA when I can catch a Caitlin Collins game.
Right.
Does she influence me to drink Gatorade? No.
Right.
Does she have influence? Her and the singer, I can't remember her name.
Taylor Swift.
That one.
Yeah. I got 11 and 14-year-old daughters at home. That's all we talk about here.
Yeah, well, my daughter's in her 30s and my son's in his late 20s, and they don't listen to her.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, she has an extraordinary, unparalleled, really, following. But I don't know if she tries to influence anything other than endorsing Kamala Harris.
Right.
But she influences people to go to her concert. So in the B2B realm, we have people like Ann Handley and Seth Godin and other best-selling authors who can influence not on purchasing, but on thought direction. So Ann Handley is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, business writer. I've known her for 15 years. She actually did a blurb for one of my books. Um, and her biweekly, her fortnightly newsletter is just a blast to read.
Mhm.
And it may or may not be instructive on anything that I need, but it makes me think
Yeah.
because I write a lot and I need constant not ideas for writing about, but ideas for how I write.
Hmm.
And Anne can provide that.
Yep.
So we have those people, but inside the market, inside GovCon, I don't believe there are any people who influence government wide
Right.
outside of maybe the president and the Office of Federal Procurement Policy, a couple, but we don't know, we know who the president is, but we don't know all of the people who are pulling the strings behind how the government procures.
Hmm.
Um, but the government is comprised of thousands of niches. You're in the financial niche, but your specialty is funding smalls.
Hmm.
So you've carved out a niche, you've built a reputation, so you can influence in that. And you've probably helped Parabola. I mean, we've known each other, what, almost 3 years now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure that Parabolas is ecstatic with how you have presented yourself to the market and the growth that you've provided them.
Hmm.
So we have, people like Jaime Gracia, who was a consultant, and then he went in government, became a contracting officer, but he was a proactive contracting officer. He
Hmm.
didn't want to do things the way they were. He wanted to improve the processes, make it more transparent and open. And now he's back on this side. But during that entire period, he was writing and thinking about this stuff, getting feedback. He is an influencer in that process.
Yep.
Um, Carl Dixon has been writing about proposals forever. Carl Dixon is he produces more content than I even think about producing, but it's all extremely worthwhile. He's extremely well known in that proposal management capture community,
Hmm.
and he is a standout. Bob Gorley, my friend Bob, when we met, he was the CTO of the Defense Intelligence Agency. So he was inside for quite some time, came out, started his own company, and he's become a centerpiece in the cybersecurity realm in the
Hmm.
market. And when I mention him to generic IT people, they may not know who he is. When I mention his name to cybersecurity people, they go, "Can you introduce me?"
Yeah. Hmm.
So but none of these people was known government wide,
Hmm.
nor really should they be.
Yeah, you spread yourself too thin. It's just like with your business capabilities. If
Right.
you
So
you lose your luster if you try to do too much. And
yeah,
so finding
no,
your niche is key if you're listening and you want to be an influencer.
right. And I have people, when I go to an event, I'm introduced, and invariably somebody's going to say he doesn't need an introduction. Everybody knows him. No, not true. Not everybody. There's no one who is known across the market on
Yep.
the contractor side of the universe. We're all known in niches.
Yes.
Some people think that because I've been doing this longer than anybody else, but it's just not accurate.
Yeah. So we've covered the difference between a SME and an influencer. We've covered what elements need to be present in order for you to know that that person really is someone that could be categorized as one. And so that's the way the audience really knows for sure what they're dealing with. And I
Mhm.
think the article does a great, and by the way, everyone, there's a 2-part article that Mark published online on LinkedIn. So if you go to his LinkedIn page and connect with him, you can find parts 1 and 2, and I've been told part 3 is on its way.
Part 3 is on its way, and I may do a wrap up piece after that because some people are going to read this and say, "Who cares? Why should I care?" And the reason why you should care is whether or not we admit it, we're all influenced by somebody outside. So,
Mhm.
quick aside, I have several friends who are very well known business writers. They've got books out the wazoo. One of them I asked once, who do you read? And the answer was, I don't read anybody else's stuff because I want all of this to be my own. And
Yikes.
I'm thinking, you're operating in a vacuum, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to get more ideas is to brainstorm with people who have other ideas
Mm-hmm.
in your niche. So twice a week, I meet with the GovCon ideators,
Mm-hmm.
govconideation.com. On Tuesday morning, we have a topic. Friday morning was a free for all. We're recording on a Friday. The free for all this morning was absolutely great. So I'm meeting with anywhere from 12 to 20 plus people, and we discuss things of import to marketers in the government market,
Mm-hmm.
and we're collaborative. We're open and helpful. It's a non-attributable meeting. So if we have private information, it just not supposed to be shared.
Right.
But I mean, I'm a solopreneur. I've been a solopreneur for 2 months shy of 40 years.
Wow.
I can network with my cat. Um,
Well,
but
I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm my
you're
father's
in
daughter.
Florida.
I can talk to a lamppost if I need to and get information out of it. So
Exactly.
and I
So
don't, if you're circulating in a world where only the words that come out of your own mouth are important, then your world is pretty tiny and really uninteresting.
yeah. So I guess the bottom line is a subject matter expert doesn't necessarily have to be public. An
Mm-hmm.
influencer has to be public and vettable.
Yeah.
A thought leader, which is a step or two above influencer, has to be someone who is totally embedded in their niche, stays on top of everything, if possible, what's going on in their niche, and has an educated opinion about that. And when there is a shift in the market, they are the person that we go to see what does it, generative AI, you
Mm-hmm.
know, there weren't many visible experts on generative AI, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're crawling out of, wherever.
Yeah. And that's one
Bottom,
of those markets too, where you really have to be careful that
you
you are listening to the right people.
yeah, I mean, from January to June of this year, I probably received 30 inquiries from generative AI companies, startups, uh, people with bolt-ons to their current company, asking me for their endorsement of what they were doing. Number one, procurement's not my side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, half of the people getting in touch with me were not of this market. They were PE funded, uh, wet behind the ears graduate students who had a need. Oh, that government market, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how you set up an RFP. Um, Wrong answer.
Right.
Um, so I ended up in endorsing none of them. Recently, I do have a partnership with somebody in the market. I will name him if you don't mind.
Of course.
Zev Wexler of Wexler Marketing
Mm-hmm.
has a packet of extraordinary tools, not simply around the RFP side, but around the marketing side, helping people generate webinars, content, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Probably infographics too. I haven't asked him about that because I need one. Uh, I need one. I need one for this topic.
Yeah.
Um, so, so it took me, 10 months to figure out, you know, where does this play where I can play a role, and is it going to enhance me, and will I enhance it?
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing about being an influencer or an external thought leader, or subject matter expert, is if you make the wrong bet, it will hurt your reputation. Doesn't have to be critical, but if you do make the wrong bet, you have to acknowledge that quickly
Mm-hmm.
and just say mea culpa, dudes.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously didn't know enough to make the right choice, and I apologize if I misled any of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so damage control goes into effect, but I don't think I'm going to have to here, because I spent a lot of time vetting, and I had some of my other friends, frontline practitioners, vet them as well.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
I think that's the key with especially emerging technologies is just really being able to feel it out through people's experiences. There's a lot of products out there. I have a lot of people wanting to come on the podcast to talk about them, and I have to find the applicability to the network, to the community before I pull the trigger on it. And it's not because I'm beholden to any one particular brand, because I don't utilize, and shame on me if I need to, but I don't utilize AI. And I think a lot of it is because of the fact that when I'm producing content that's to our direct market, I like to hear my own voice in my writing. And I think a lot of us who are old school, information providers and writers, I mean, both of us have, English backgrounds.
yep,
My voice influenced in the way that I write. I want people to hear it. When I read Mark Amtower published articles, I hear you speaking it. It isn't absent of you. It's not just regurgitation of information. The storytelling aspect of your personality is evident in the words that you produce and the way that you say things. And that part of it has always made me a little hesitant towards moving toward the AI generative products, because how do you keep that consistent without losing a bit of it? But I'm sure with everything else, I'm not one of those technology people who are constantly looking for the new stuff. I mean, I upgraded my phone the other day, and it's been the bane of my existence trying to make sure that I can use everything that I had on the old phone. So
right. Yeah, I kept my old Samsung as long as possible. It's still in my drawer. I
yeah.
don't think it has a charge anymore, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little hesitant and resistant to things like that. So I hear you on it, and you always have a fresh perspective on things as it pertains to marketing in our industry, because there's so much that you can pull from. Because, like you said, there's so many different niches, and the ability to be able to move from one to the other is very difficult. Being known all the way across the board is very difficult, but there is a particular style for your niche that you can capitalize on if you narrow your focus. And so I want to put it out there once again, if you're really looking to, not that you're looking to publicize yourself within it as much as you really want to market yourself successfully from a personal branding perspective in the government contracting market, Mark is a great resource to utilize in order to really focus that, so that you can take your great ideas and make them applicable to being a representative of whatever business that you're providing to the government contracting community. So definitely want you to check out the 2-part article that he's put out already. Connect with him on LinkedIn. I can't guarantee that he's gonna connect back with you. I'm not gonna put you on the spot.
If you're in the market and not in one of my poopless companies, yes, I will connect with you.
Okay,
But you
great.
got to be in the market.
Yeah. So before we let you go, how about some, words of wisdom and Amtower style for anyone who's trying to become an influencer?
Don't be in a hurry, number one. Again, Teresa and I have discussed this several times, this show, previous shows, and one-on-one privately. This is an incremental market. You do not become a superstar with one viral message.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And if you do, the likelihood is you'll tank that much faster.
Right.
So be patient. Spend a lot of time learning everything you can about the niche where you want to be an influencer, because people are going to test that knowledge base. And, if they want to test your credibility up front. And if you can't produce, you're done.
Yep.
So the fake it till you make it model does not work here at all.
Right.
I don't know where it does work. And I don't care, because it doesn't float here, and outside of GovCon, I really don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So be patient, learn a lot, share. And when you share, look for feedback. I write to get feedback. I love feedback. I love people who like my stuff or who put the big heart on it, but I prefer the people that actually comment or reach out privately and say, hey, can we talk about this?
Mhm.
So,
It's
I just,
important. I
it,
mean, we talked about it before we started the show. One of my favorite thought leaders, I believe to be in the industry, Steve Coprince, with regard to legal advice. And he gave me a great bit of advice when I started in the market with blog writing that was very constructive and kind and has helped me along the way in a big way. And
yep.
so kudos and thank you to someone reaching out, but he was very surprised, pleasantly surprised that I didn't bark back at him for giving me unsolicited advice. But if you really want to grow, you need it. And so if you get offended by anyone who might push back a little bit, then it's probably not a space you need to dig your feet in.
No, no. If you can't take a little bit of heat that's constructive,
Yeah,
go the hell away.
right.
Because you're not going to grow.
That's right.
And
So, well, with that, I'm very grateful for you taking time out to come on again. We're going to have you back because you've got about 50 events that you're going to in the next couple of months, and so we need to have you back. And you're going to be adding to this article already. So we'll have to get some updates in the months ahead.
It's going to be part of the next book too.
Oh, there you go. So there's things to look forward to still. Well, thank you again. I very much appreciate you always. You're one of my very favorite people, and I appreciate all of your support along the way.
Always my pleasure to spend time with you, Teresa.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. As always, we pride ourselves on sharing the most insightful and exciting people and information to help you better navigate your GovCon journey. If you like what you heard today, you can see all of our past podcasts, which are archived on our YouTube channel by the same name. Stay tuned for all of our future guests in the coming months as we help you grow to great heights in the year ahead. I'm Teresa Moon, and this is Spilling the Tea on GovCon. Have a great day, my friends.